This isn't about ignoring aging, it's about taking control of the steering wheel, the internal mechanisms that determine your vitality and emotional landscape as the years progress. We are not passengers, we are the pilots of our own neurochemistry. I've spent the last decade watching precisely how our bodies and minds react to the constant bombardment of the modern environment, especially after 60. I see the predictable patterns, the anxiety that creeps in, the mental fog that seems to settle in the late afternoon, the critical names and details that vanish just when conversational flow demands them, and the restless, racing thoughts that steal valuable restorative sleep. Most people, taught by a culture obsessed with quick fixes, assume these inevitable shifts require complex, resource-intensive solutions, a new cutting-edge pharmaceutical intervention, an expensive, time-consuming weekly therapy session, or a complete, overwhelming, and unsustainable overhaul of their entire lifestyle overnight. I'm here to tell you that reliance on complexity is often the biggest, most exhausting mistake. It diverts your energy from where the real, immediate power lies. The most profound, stabilizing, and accessible changes happen not by seeking massive interventions, but when you focus with surgical precision on the smallest, most immediate elements surrounding you right now. The elemental quality of the air that enters your lungs, the specific light hitting your eyes and influencing your biological clock, the precise sound, or, perhaps more importantly, the lack of sound in your immediate space, and the simple physical posture of your body as you read these words. These variables are always present, always influencing. These deliberate, consistent micro-adjustments aren't superficial fluff, a mere cosmetic touch to your day. They are powerful physical switches that instantly and predictably affect your neurochemistry. They offer a tangible path toward less internal noise, a profound sense of predictable peace, and deeper, sharper cognitive clarity. We are actively reducing the unnecessary informational entropy that drains the aging brain. Want to know the fastest, most guaranteed path to feeling emotionally steady, resilient, and anchored? It's not necessarily about the ambitious goal of logging hundreds of hours on a meditation cushion, wrestling with internal thoughts. While valuable, that takes time and effort. The fastest path is far simpler. It's about what you strategically and intentionally remove from your immediate sensory field. Removing interference creates clarity. Think about waking up feeling physically lighter, the profound feeling of absolute visceral safety when you are alone in your own home, or the simple, quiet joy of remembering a specific detail or name effortlessly during conversation. That sustained vitality is the direct, inevitable result of disciplined mental hygiene practiced consistently through the rigorous control of your sensory environment. We are aiming for 3 minutes that restore calm faster than prolonged meditation. Simply by intelligently and immediately restructuring your sensory input to favor rest and clarity. We are committed to creating, in 24 hours, predictable peace in your living room and a lighter mind. This shift moves you from reacting to external chaos to actively designing internal calm. The clutter that steals memory and cognitive reserve. Let me share a ubiquitous common scene that I hear about constantly from clients. You walk into the kitchen or the home office. The counter is inevitably covered, a pile of unopened mail threatening decisions, a couple of stray coffee mugs left over from the morning, maybe a tangled phone charger looking for a home, and a half-read magazine signaling incomplete tasks. To the casual observer, it looks merely normal. It feels perfectly familiar, the comforting mess of a lived-in life. But every single time your visual cortex scans that space, your brain registers every single object, every piece of visual noise as potential incomplete work, a looming decision, or misplaced information that requires attention. This pervasive visual and informational saturation is the hidden, insidious cost of chaos. It's the silent drain on your system. Your visual cortex is not resting. It is working overtime, constantly prioritizing, filtering, and discarding low-priority information. This constant, pervasive, low-level visual input drains the finite cognitive reserve that is specifically needed for highly complex, crucial tasks, things like efficient memory retrieval, sustained deep focus, and, critically, robust emotional regulation. We repeatedly mistake this generalized, pervasive feeling of low-grade, simmering stress and fatigue for the inevitable, generalized decline of aging. But in reality, it is simply the overwhelming reality of persistent, unnecessary processing overload. The machine is being asked to run too many programs simultaneously. The common, almost reflexive mistake I witness is trying to organize the mind through sheer willpower, abstract thought, or complex scheduling before the individual has taken the time to organize the immediate, physical room they inhabit. That is fundamentally like trying to bail out a boat frantically with a small bucket while ignoring a massive unpatched hole in the bottom of the hull. You have to locate and patch the leak, the environmental drain, first. We must establish physical, predictable, and clean external order to foster and sustain reliable internal mental order. The external reflects the internal, and vice versa. You need to identify and meticulously establish the anti-anxiety corners at home. This specific goal is not about forcing yourself into the rigid, overwhelming aesthetic of an overnight minimalist. It is an intentional, focused strategy. It's about ensuring that at least one primary, high-traffic, visual space, the specific corner you habitually sit in for your morning coffee, the surface of your nightstand, or the immediate visual field that greets your eyes when you first wake up, is completely clean, neutral, and unequivocally restful. When your gaze falls upon it, the brain must register zero demands. Silence in the auditory environment reliably sharpens the mind, allowing complex thought to unfold. But visual silence, the absence of distracting stimuli, does precisely the same job, conserving precious cognitive resources. A clear counter in the kitchen means your mind is clear to prepare a nourishing meal, focused only on the task at hand, not inventorying clutter. A clean nightstand means your brain isn't running through a subconscious visual checklist of tasks right before you try to transition into restorative sleep. We are consciously and aggressively reducing the pervasive cognitive drag caused by unnecessary, unmanaged sensory input, allowing the prefrontal cortex to conserve energy for truly important tasks. Start this strategic shift here, today. Choose one corner or one primary surface. Clear it completely and ruthlessly, removing everything that doesn't belong to the immediate moment. Then, put one beautiful, deliberate, simple object there. A small, thriving plant, a single framed photo of a place that evokes calm, or a smooth, tactile stone found on a meaningful walk. This is now your designated visual anchor. When you sit nearby or feel scattered, focus your gaze intently on that specific spot for a focused 60 seconds. This simple act of redirecting attention to visual stillness is often better than walking for immediate mental clarity when you are feeling scattered or overwhelmed, because it instantly and predictably reduces the brain's demanding processing load. It gives the mind permission to stop scanning for threats or incomplete tasks. Sound, light, and the peace formula, regulating the circadian guard. Our highly sensitive nervous system is ancient, wired fundamentally and evolutionarily to constantly detect potential threats via fluctuations in sound and variations in light. In the context of modern, perpetually on life, we are incessantly bombarded by artificial, unrelenting input that our bodies interpret at a subconscious level as a persistent, low-grade state of emergency. This chronic activation is a major accelerant of age-related anxiety. Think specifically about the persistent, monotonous background noise that permeates modern homes, the television left on primarily for company, the incessant traffic outside that becomes a permanent hum, or even the subtle but persistent white noise generated by the refrigerator and various charging devices. Your brain, specifically the auditory cortex, never truly rests from tracking, filtering, and attempting to ignore these sounds. This vigilance costs metabolic energy. This sensory phenomenon is particularly crucial for people over 60. Because decades of research now definitively link chronic noise exposure to significantly higher sustained cortisol levels and demonstrably poorer memory consolidation, especially during deep sleep cycles. The brain is always listening, always on guard. You must intentionally and aggressively reclaim the quiet spaces in your life. The immediate, powerful solution is embracing silent mornings. The precise moment you wake up, you must resist the reflexive, ingrained urge to flip on the news, which is almost always designed to induce anxiety, the radio, or even, most importantly, immediately check your phone for urgent communication. Give yourself a dedicated block, the first 30 minutes of the day, in relative, intentional sound quiet. By doing this consistently, you are actively teaching your ancient nervous system that the start of the new day is fundamentally safe, protected, and non-urgent, establishing a baseline of calm before the demands begin. Combine this powerful auditory control with disciplined, intentional light exposure. This synergistic combination is the core of the SETTA Sound Hibala's Light, Shrewd Peace Formula. In the morning, and this timing is critical for hormonal signaling, seek bright, high-intensity natural light, ideally by stepping outside or at minimum standing directly next to a window within the first 10 minutes of waking. This sudden influx of bright light robustly signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus in your brain to immediately halt the nighttime production of melatonin and simultaneously begin the calibrated, timed release of cortisol at the right time, the start of the day. This foundational biological timing stabilizes your mood, prevents afternoon dips, and optimizes energy levels throughout the day. It functions as a powerful, non-pharmacological, self-administered mood stabilizer and energy regulator, setting your internal clock precisely. In the evening, the intentional process must be the precise opposite. We are aggressively aiming for darkness, specifically and strategically reducing blue light exposure, starting at least 90 minutes before your planned bedtime. Swap bright, high-intensity overhead lights for small, low-wattage, warm-spectrum lamps or candlelight. This deliberate creation of a quiet, dim, preparatory evening environment acts as a direct, undeniable signal to the brain's deepest survival centers. The period of rest and deep restoration is imminent. All active processing and defensive vigilance can now be safely terminated. This comprehensive, intentional control over your ambient, daily environment directly and powerfully regulates your vital circadian rhythm, which is, without question, the biological foundation of sustained emotional resilience, reliable memory health, and deep restorative sleep quality. Environmental control is the ultimate form of self-care. Mental hygiene, anchor habits, and focus rituals for presence. To effectively and consistently prevent the spiral of age-related anxiety and the inevitable cognitive drift that comes from unstructured time, we require reliable, repeatable, and quick anchor habits. These aren't demanding chores. They are small, non-negotiable rituals that tether your consciousness powerfully to the concrete present moment, removing the pull of regret, past, or worry, future. One of the most powerful and immediate anchor habits you can institute is the focused tea time. This must be understood as more than just the act of drinking a beverage. This is specifically the best focus ritual has no phone, no screen, and no reading. It is purely a multi-sensory engagement practice. When you prepare any warm drink, be it a calming herbal tea, hot water infused with a slice of lemon, or a small cup of decaffeinated coffee, you are intentionally turning this mundane task into a 5-minute focused meditation on physical presence. 1. Preparation and touch. Focus intensely on the process. Watch the water heat until it steams. Feel the precise weight and temperature of the mug in your hands. Note the texture of the ceramic or glass. This sensory grounding interrupts mental chatter. 2. Scent and respiration. Bring the mug close to your face. Inhale deeply and slowly, drawing in the steam or the specific aroma. Scents, like the bright lift of peppermint, the grounding earthiness of rosemary, or the calming floral notes of lavender, are incredibly powerful, immediate chemical shortcuts directly to the limbic system, the seat of emotion and memory, allowing you to quickly shift your mood and sharpen your focus. 3. Sip and internal sensation. Take an extremely slow, deliberate sip. Feel the precise warmth move gently over your tongue and down your throat. Notice how the internal temperature changes. 4. Gaze and clarity. Now, consciously lift your gaze and look directly at your visual anchor, that meticulously clean, restful corner we established in the first step. By intentionally engaging 3 core senses, touch, the precise warmth, smell, the invigorating or calming aroma, and sight, the focused, resting gaze, you powerfully force the brain out of its habitual pattern of ruminative, circular loops and directly into the concrete, immediate present. This brief daily practice consistently reinforces the necessary neural pathways for quick presence, making it exponentially easier to summon powerful focus when a difficult task or conversation demands it most. These 5 minutes are a daily injection of neurological control. Food and focus, clarity, not complexity, stabilizing the brain's fuel. When we approach the critical discussion of sustained clarity and emotional stability, the topic of food is almost always presented as a complex, overwhelming battle of chasing exotic superfoods, expensive, hard-to-source supplements, and rigid dietary dogma. We must immediately discard that unnecessary complexity. Instead, we must focus ruthlessly on clarity foods and immediate, consistent energy stability for the brain. The single biggest, most reliable destroyer of stable mood and clear focus, particularly for individuals navigating life after 60, is the dramatic, unpredictable blood sugar roller coaster. This instability creates a biologically induced state of anxiety and cognitive inefficiency. If you struggle consistently with the debilitating midday slump, the sudden, sharp, almost anxious irritability that accompanies hunger, often referred to as hangry, or the pervasive inability to concentrate effectively post-lunch, your highest priority must be to stabilize the fuel delivery system to your brain. You need to successfully forget the afternoon sugar crash. That predictable, sharp crash isn't simply a moment of physical fatigue. It is, fundamentally, a moment of acute cognitive decline, often masked by sudden irrational irritability, sharp mood swings, or emergent anxiety. The brain is demanding glucose, and the supply has plummeted. Clarity foods, targeting stabilization and what to skip. You must aggressively skip refined sugars and all forms of highly processed flours, especially when consumed in isolation, like a plain piece of toast or a handful of gummy candy. If you absolutely choose to eat a carbohydrate, which is necessary for energy, you must pair it immediately and intentionally with a substantial source of protein or a healthy quality fat. This pairing drastically slows the digestive absorption of the glucose, flattening the blood sugar spike and preventing the subsequent crash. Your morning hydration ritual is critical, often overlooked and immediately effective. Before you allow yourself to take that first sip of coffee, drink a large, full glass of water, ideally warm or room temperature. This simple act immediately kickstarts your metabolism, supports cellular hydration, and significantly improves brain function before your day fully begins. For sustained focus stabilizers that power the brain evenly, you must lean heavily into quality fats and complete protein sources. Nuts, seeds, particularly chia and flax for fiber, pastured eggs, fatty fish, and avocados are not optional extras. They are essential structural and fuel components for neuronal health. Make these items easily accessible, visible, and pre-prepped. A small, intentional handful of walnuts and a few berries consumed mid-morning can maintain even, reliable energy far better and longer than a surge from a large cup of coffee paired with a high glycemic pastry. And regarding efficient storage, do not hide these brain energy sources away in the recesses of your refrigerator or pantry. I am specifically referring to your raw almonds, walnuts, pumpkin seeds, and a small amount of quality, dark chocolate, stored optimally in a cool, dry place. Keeping them visibly accessible on the counter or desk ensures you reach for them reflexively instead of gravitating toward high glycemic, processed snacks when the fute. Low energy craving hits. Accessibility dictates choice. A specialized note on sleep optimization. If you find that late-night anxiety, restlessness, or waking up at 3 a.m. is a common occurrence, consider incorporating fruit before bed for calm dreams. Tart cherries, which are a natural source of melatonin, kiwis, linked to serotonin support, or a small bowl of mixed berries are all naturally low glycemic. They contain compounds and precursors that gently support the transition into sleep without causing a significant blood sugar spike, which, when it plummets a few hours later, is often the biological trigger that prematurely wakes you up. Movement for mind, the quiet gaze and proprioceptive anchor. Movement in this context does not have to be strenuous, high-intensity exercise, but it must be meticulously mindful to yield maximum cognitive benefits. The aim is not merely moving the body to burn calories. We are intentionally moving the mind through the body, using movement as an anchor for presence. If you observe yourself overthinking constantly while walking, running complex mental dialogues, frantically planning the next week, or recycling old worries, you are actively missing the single best opportunity for a robust, quick brain reset that movement provides. When you move while worrying, you reinforce the worry. We use slow, intentional movement to stop the pattern of chronic overthinking. The anchored walk, a walking meditation, disguised as exercise. The next time you take a slow, intentional walk, focus your senses meticulously and cyclically on 3 specific things, dedicating your full attention to one at a time. This is a powerful, focused walking meditation disguised as simple exercise, forcing present moment awareness. 1. The foot's interaction with the earth. Dedicate 60 seconds exclusively to feeling the pressure points where your foot meets the ground. Notice the precise sequence, the heavy initial heel strike, the deliberate roll through the arch, and the final soft push-off of the toes. Repeat this 3-part mantra in your mind silently, grounding your attention. Grounding, rolling, release. This builds proprioceptive awareness. 2. The gentle rhythm of the breath. Shift your full attention inward. Notice the gentle existing rhythm of your inhale and exhale. Do not try to judge it, deepen it, or change it in any way. Just observe the air moving in and out, feeling the physical sensation in your chest or nose. Observation without alteration is key. 3. The controlled gaze, gaze hygiene. This is perhaps the most crucial component for cognitive rest. Instead of letting your eyes dart constantly and randomly across the environment, which is highly demanding on the brain, focus your gaze intentionally 6 to 10 feet ahead of you, maintaining a soft, steady, expansive focus. This deliberate limitation of your visual field drastically reduces the visual overstimulation that is known to rapidly drain the prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive function. This intentional slowing down of movement and the controlled focusing of the gaze is immediately and profoundly calming. More importantly, it systematically builds neurological resilience against the pervasive threat of cognitive overload and mental drift. It is a powerful practice that costs absolutely nothing, requires no equipment, and prevents chaotic mental wandering better than hours of unstructured, worried movement. Navigating solitude and organizing internal thought. Many people over the age of 60, especially those who have experienced significant life transitions, live alone. While solitude can be a deep source of peace, introspection, and personal recovery, it can also unfortunately amplify the destructive pattern of rumination, that chronic, repetitive loop of worry, regret, or unresolved problem solving. When there is no immediate external conversation partner or social structure, the internal dialogue often becomes chaotic, critical, and overwhelming. To manage this, we need simple, reliable tools that act externally to organize the internal noise. Sometimes the simplest, fastest, and most overlooked method to stop the internal spiral is the physical act of externalizing the thought. This leads to the technique. Better than journaling. This 3-min reset. Journaling is excellent, but it keeps the thoughts internal and requires focused effort. When you feel anxiety tightening its physiological grip, or a specific problem feels disproportionately overwhelming and vague, Find a private, quiet spot and simply speak the exact thoughts aloud. Use your actual speaking voice as if addressing someone else. Do not allow yourself to lecture yourself, argue internally, or seek a solution immediately. Simply articulate the core problem or the current emotion exactly as you are feeling it, forcing the noise into sentences. I am feeling acutely worried about the medical appointment next week because I don't feel fully prepared or organized for the questions. I feel intense loneliness right now because the entire house is simply too quiet and I haven't heard another voice all day. Hearing the thoughts articulated outside your head fundamentally changes the cognitive dynamics. The physical-mechanical act of forming spoken sentences forces the chaotic, amorphous emotional noise into a linear, logical, structured format. It imposes order on the circuit. This allows your analytical brain to process the contained feeling or problem rather than simply being swamped, paralyzed, and overwhelmed by the raw emotional energy of it. Crucially, when speaking, remember the core instruction. Talk to yourself like this. With the same measured, warm, slightly distant empathy and non-judgmental tone, you would immediately offer a cherished, trusted friend who came to you with the exact same problem. You are training yourself to be the objective observer of the thought, not just the frantic, overwhelmed reactor. This distance creates immediate psychological space for calm processing. The 10-minute calming ritual, the inner reset and vagal tone mastery. We have established and mastered the control of the external environment, addressing clutter, managing sound, and controlling light input, and optimize the brain's foundational fuel source, clarity foods and blood sugar stability. Now, let's merge all these principles into a guaranteed, comprehensive 10-minute daily reset ritual that powerfully uses simple movement, intentional breath, and precise posture to restore physiological and mental balance. This ritual efficiently grounds your physical body and clears your mental workspace for the day ahead. Find a quiet room, ideally the clean corner you meticulously established earlier, and sit upright in a comfortable, supportive chair with your feet placed flat and squarely on the floor. The posture and tension release. 2 minutes. Begin by intentionally checking your physical foundation. Feel the steady, comforting weight of your body pressing down onto the seat of the chair and the floor beneath your feet. This physical sensation is your immediate, reliable anchor. Gently roll your shoulders up toward your ears, contracting and holding that upper body tension for a slow count of 3 seconds, and then release them slowly, deliberately down and back, letting gravity take over. Finally, adjust your head subtly so your ears are stacked directly over your shoulders, creating a neutral spine. This small, intentional postural correction physically signals safety and readiness to the brain, efficiently releasing stored tension that often hides chronically in the neck and upper shoulders. The steady breath and vagal activation. 5 minutes. Place one hand gently but firmly on your lower belly, just below the navel. We are aiming consistently for a slow, steady, rhythmic breath pattern, not an overly deep, hyperventilating gasp. The goal is rhythm, not volume. Inhale deeply, smoothly through the nose for a slow, controlled count of 4. Feel your belly rise gently outward under your hand, diaphragmatic breathing. Hold the breath gently without straining for a focused count of 1. Exhale slowly with maximal control through slightly pursed lips, like breathing out through a straw, for an elongated count of 6. The significantly longer exhale is the physiological key. It deliberately activates the vagus nerve, the body's master brake system, which directly and instantly communicates profound safety to the brain, efficiently reducing the heart rate and overriding the sympathetic fight-or-flight response. Repeat this specific cycle, 4 in, 1 hold, 6 out, consistently and methodically for the full 5 minutes. Focus your entire attention solely on the sound and the physical sensation of the air moving in and out. If your mind inevitably wanders, and it absolutely will, simply acknowledge the distraction, non-judgmentally, and immediately bring your attention back to the specific count. Scent and focus. Phrase. Integration, 3 minutes. If you have a preferred calming scent nearby, a single drop of lavender or rosemary essential oil rubbed lightly on your wrist, or perhaps a mug of fresh mint tea still steaming nearby, take a final, deep, integrating inhale of the aroma, letting it ground you. Now, transition to internal focus. Repeat a simple affirmative focus phrase silently to yourself. This phrase must be specific, immediately present, and empowering. Avoid anything vague or abstract. Choose one of these examples or create your own. I am present here now. My breath is steady and slow. I choose my next thought with intention. Feel the accumulated calm sinking deep into your physiology. Notice precisely how the persistent internal noise, the mental chatter, has demonstrably lowered. This state of focused, intentional calm is instantly available to you anytime, anywhere, provided you engage the power of your breath, posture, and environmental anchors intentionally. You must deliberately feel and register what the calm state feels like so that your nervous system recognizes it and knows how to reliably return to it under stress. Safety and adaptation. Note: always respect your current physical limits and capacities. If any specific breathwork technique or posture adjustment feels acutely uncomfortable, causes chest tightness, or results in sudden dizziness, stop immediately and return immediately to simple, natural, effortless breathing. These powerful routines are designed to be gentle, but you must adapt them entirely and precisely to your capacity and current health status. If you manage chronic medical or significant psychological conditions, always consult a qualified healthcare professional before making substantial health or routine changes. These structured routines are designed as complements to, not replacements for, essential medical care. You possess an incredible, often untapped autonomy over your profound emotional and cognitive well-being, far surpassing what the prevailing cultural narrative often tells you. True independence after 60 isn't about stubbornly avoiding all help. It is about achieving mastery over your internal and immediate external environment so efficiently and reliably that you systematically require less reactive external intervention or management from others. This is the definition of sovereign aging. The reliable, sustainable path to internal balance, superior memory recall, and significantly reduced anxiety is meticulously built through these small, achievable sensory commitments. The dedicated moment of silence, the clear, non-demanding counterspace, the intentional long exhale of the breath. Consistency in the small things yields massive neurological dividends. The challenge now is not prolonged study or passive agreement. The challenge is decisive, simple action. Choose only one calming swap to implement today, right now. Replace the habitual afternoon high-sugar cookie or processed snack with a clarity food pairing, like almonds and a high-fiber apple. Or swap 30 minutes of pervasive, distracting background news or television for 30 minutes of absolute, intentional, internal quiet in your home. And tonight, commit fully to the 10-minute calming ritual. Find your quiet corner, adjust your posture to signal safety, and breathe reliably on the stabilizing 4-in, 6-out cycle. Track the feeling of calm that emerges. What single powerful habit will you start today? Let me know which topic, sleep architecture, advanced clarity foods, or mindful movement techniques, you want me to dive deeper into next time. We are building a life of profound presence, one intentional, steady breath, and one clear corner at a time.